Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of UA Eats. I'm UA, and I am outside of possibly the fanciest and most luxurious casino hotel on the Las Vegas Strip, the Wynn Hotel. I'm not really a big gambler. I don't really partake much in gambling. If I do, no more than like 50 bucks at a time. I know, I'm such a high roller, but yeah, I'm really not really big on gambling. But it is saying something about this casino that their games are more expensive due to it being a fancier hotel, richer clientele. We are not staying though at this bougie hotel, and we're also not going to be gambling here. I have always been most attracted to Vegas for the food scene, and there's a lot of great eats here, some really bougie eats too, and there's a lot of bougie eats in New York City, so that's saying a lot that Vegas can rival that, maybe even exceed in some cases. But we have a reservation at the highest rated steakhouse in Vegas, or at least one of the highest rated steakhouses, SW Steakhouse. Now, we've already reviewed one Vegas steakhouse, the Golden Steer Steakhouse, on this trip, and it was fantastic. It was, I'm just gonna say it, it was one of the best steakhouses I've ever been to, and we've eaten at some good ones on this channel, so that's really saying a lot. But this place, SW, is just as highly regarded, at least according to Google reviews, so let's check it out and see if it's all it's cracked up to be. All right, we are now outside of our destination, the SW Steakhouse, and these huge AF doors are now flung open. I don't know if you guys have seen that anime Hunter x Hunter, but it reminds me of the big doors to Killua's house, where to enter the assassin's quarters, they need to force these huge gates open to prove their strength. So these Hunter x Hunter doors are now open. Let's take a look. I mean, this is one of the highest reviewed steakhouses in Vegas, if not the highest. So let's give it a shot. And we have a reservation. Okay guys, we are inside a really fancy Vegas steakhouse, SW Steakhouse, and it's pretty nice. I mean, even this chair is nice. Not many restaurants give you basically like a couch. Usually they just go with a chair. What a great idea, a game changer. And honestly, this is a serene atmosphere and a posh atmosphere in general. Super sophisticated feel, like classy in a nice, really clean way, like in a neat way. And look at this. I guess it's nighttime, so usually there would be a view of more of the strip out the window, but really cool vibe and cool atmosphere here. Like kind of like a bougie steakhouse that James Bond would eat at. That's kind of the feeling that I get. And let me tell you one other thing. Service here has been really good so far. For example, as you can tell, it's not the brightest restaurant, they kind of have some mood lighting. Parts of the restaurant are rather dark, but I asked if they could give me a second light, and they obliged, like, immediately. They were like, oh, no problem, we can set that up for you for sure, because lighting is really important for these YouTube videos, especially since it's just me. I don't have like a whole crew like some other big channels do, so they gave me 2 lamps. And I really gotta reiterate something. Another thing that's in contrary to other big YouTube channels, at my channel, they don't know I'm coming. They never know I'm coming. I just show up with just my phone and a mic. I mean, look, there's a mirror here. You can see through the mirror. This is my setup. I think the only video where they ever knew I was coming in advance was Sushi 35 West, a hole-in-the-wall hidden gem sushi joint that was opened by former Michelin star sushi chefs. I only called them in advance to let them know I was coming because I thought their story was so interesting that I wanted to interview one of the chefs to let them tell me a little bit about their restaurant. All my other videos have been show up on the spot, and when I make a reservation, I never leave the name UA Eats or even UA. I come and I show up like any other customer, and I pay out of pocket, so I can always guarantee you guys a fair and honest review, which is the mission of this channel, and I take it really seriously. But anyways, let me show you the menu. First, I want to show you they have a really robust drinks. I don't really drink much, but I want to show you they have a lot of specialty beers, and they have some fancy cocktails as well. So just wanted to show you guys in case you guys were interested in these. Underrated song, by the way. Maybe this steak is gonna be the one that saves me. Oh shoot, gonna get copyright striked. Stop singing, UA. Another thing that I see constantly praised in the comments is a very extensive wine menu, which a lot of people say is top tier and some of the best that they've ever seen in any restaurant. But let me show you the dinner menu. And they actually don't have the biggest menu. It's really just, you know, 4 pages. You know, let me show you. That's pretty much it, you know? Not much, and I feel like at good steakhouses, that's a good sign. You know, you want it to be less jack of all trades, master of none. You want specialists at a steakhouse. They got caviar, they got bone marrow, they got all sorts of seafood like crab cakes and things like that. And what this place is really known for is their Wagyu selection. They have Japanese Wagyu here, and it's also not just Wagyu. They have real Kobe beef, and this is something that they're really proud of. Now, it's actually really hard to find a restaurant that actually sells real Kobe beef. Tons of restaurants like to flex Kobe beef, and they like to write Kobe beef on the menu. Like Kobe burgers were everywhere at one point, but it's not real Kobe beef. It's just Wagyu beef, and probably American Wagyu, probably not even Japanese Wagyu. Real Kobe beef has to come from Kobe, Japan. Kobe being a city in Japan. And Kobe beef is so amazing that, true story, Kobe Bryant is actually named after Kobe beef. His parents named him after Kobe beef. That's how much they liked it. Although what I always find so funny about that is that he calls himself Kobe Bryant when his name should be Kobe Bryant. So he doesn't even know how to say his own name. Then they got, you know, domestic American Wagyu. And then these are steaks that are more up our price range, but they are not cheap. I mean, even a filet mignon here is $84, $112. That's not cheap, let me tell you. I know it's Vegas, but New York has lots of really pricey steakhouses too, and I think that's a little pushing it, if I can be honest. And then they got your other staples, New York strip, ribeye, bone-in New York strip, porterhouse, Chateaubriand, and those are some intense prices, let me tell you. Like that porterhouse, $195 for 2. Even in New York, I don't think I've seen a porterhouse steak that expensive. That's designed to be shared by 2 people. That's almost $100 a person, jeez. And the ribeye, $145. It may be 26 ounces, but that is, oh my goodness. I mean, you better be eating that like 2 or 3 meals, you know, to make it worth it, sort of. So guys, we are not exactly Mr. Beast yet. You know, we're growing steadily, so we're gonna go with something more up our price range. A 16-ounce New York strip, $86. I was tempted to get the Kobe beef, but if it was good, it might have been just because it was Kobe beef, you know? Like, I wanna, if this is really an excellent steakhouse, I wanna see how they nail, you know, a tried and true. And New York strip is a good judge because New York strip is marbled, but it's not like overly marbled like ribeye is, so it'll be a good test. I do wanna try that Kobe beef sometime, but we can try it in New York sometime because there are, like, I think a few steakhouses in New York that carry it. Someday I want to go to Japan for the channel to do a series of Japan videos. So maybe someday for the channel we'll review Kobe beef in Kobe. And I'll just quickly show you everything else, but everything else is mostly seafood, and I have some shellfish allergies, so I can't really eat most of this. So just gonna briefly show you guys, and I want to briefly show you guys the sides. And out of these sides, I hear their cream spinach is excellent, so let's go with that. So I'm gonna do the New York strip, medium rare, and I hear the cream spinach is pretty good.
The spinach is excellent. I can always do a half version of that. I can do a half version on any side except for the au gratin too.
Oh. So I'll do the half cream spinach and I'll do half mac and cheese. All right, we just ordered, but as we always do on this channel, we gotta review the bread. And in this case, it's not really bread. In this case, it's like a pretzel loaf. Like, what is this? It's like a pretzel, delicious hexagon. Like, it almost looks like a little chef's hat, only it's made of pretzels. I love pretzels, and hopefully this is a delicious, fluffy, buttery pretzel. And I love that it's not over salted. I hate just having mouthfuls of huge kernels of salt, giving you hypertension just for, you know, eating a pretzel. So, how should we go about this? I guess let's just rip a piece off, right? It's such a posh restaurant, but I guess I just gotta rip it off like a barbarian. Reviewing the bread, in this case, a pretzel loaf thing. You know, it tastes good, but it kind of just tastes like a pretzel. I like pretzels, don't get me wrong, but I was kind of expecting this to, I don't know, have more to it, I guess, but it pretty much just tastes like a pretzel, like almost like an Auntie Anne's pretzel, but fluffier. Like, it kind of tastes like in between like a buttery pretzel and bread, if that makes sense. Like it's some sort of in-between hybrid. Like the two of them had like a kid or something. I hope he didn't get too bullied in school. There, nothing therapy can't help. I mean, I like that it's fluffy on the inside. Like it's nice and fluffy, but not too airy, not like it's just yeast that's puffing it up. Although I do find it a tad too oily, but I think that was the point. But I mean, just look at my fingers, you know, it's a little oily. But I don't know, maybe I was expecting more from it from the cool way it looked, but I don't know. It's like in between a pretzel and bread, so I don't know. To me, it's okay. Though, let's get a second opinion. Hey, travel buddy, what do you think of the pretzel? It's okay, right? Yep, glad we agree. This is the strip. Your strip is meat on my patch. Sounds good, thank you.
White cheddar mac and cheese, Parmesan cream spinach.
Anything else that we can offer?
That'll be it. Thank you. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, well, it broke.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you so much. That was pretty funny. They broke the lamp somehow by accident. It wasn't even like a hard tap, but they brought me another lamp. Let's see if we can't fix this lighting a bit. I think that will do the trick. And yeah, this is the New York strip. Now this steak is looking pretty solid, not an even sear throughout, but that's because it is clearly grilled, as you can see by the grill marks. Even sear on a cast iron or a flat top versus grilled, really, there's no wrong way to do it. On one, you get a nice crust. On the other, you get these beautiful grill marks and you get that delicious, hopefully that smoke flavor permeating the meat. And then here we have cream spinach. Now, this is very highly reviewed. People really, really like this cream spinach. I believe this is like a Parmesan cream spinach. Pretty much every steakhouse is gonna carry this. This is about as OG as it gets as a side, so can't wait to put this to the test. And now this is not exactly a traditional steakhouse side. This is a fancy mac and cheese. I think this was a Gouda mac and cheese or something, but this mac and cheese is just looking phenomenal. I like the breadcrumbs on top, the little crunchy bits. It's looking really creamy on the inside. You know, they got a great cheese sauce blend there with the Gouda cheese. And it's got a pretty garnish. It's always nice when people add a garnish just to make something pretty, I guess, right? Let's try some of this. Let's try some of this mac and cheese, why don't we? All right. Oh, whoa. Wow. All right, it's being covered up by another piece of pasta, but it does have some crunchy bit on top. Bigger bite this time. I think that was the best mac and cheese I've ever had in my life. And I have a go-to spot back home. Like when you feel like you knew mac and cheese perfection, and then you find someone who one-upped you, it's like thinking Larry Bird is as good as it gets and then Michael Jordan comes along. Oh my goodness, this is just the best mac and cheese I've ever had. Like, I am confident saying that. Everything about it is just perfect. This cheese sauce is creamy and rich, but it's not so rich, it's not too rich. Like, it's not like I feel like if I eat this, you know, I'm gonna have like indigestion or I'm gonna wanna take a nap. Like, it's cheesy and rich, but it's perfectly balanced. Small details are right, like the noodles are soft, but they're not like so soft like they're overcooked. These crunchy bits on top, they add like another texture dimension. They're nice and crispy. If I had one small, extremely nitpick, it would be that I wish this crunchy stuff on top was a little bit more so that every bite was crunchy. But that's okay, I get it, because then you lose the creaminess of the rest of the mac and cheese. This cheese on top is like stringy, you know? It's like I feel like I'm eating so many dimensions of cheese here. Like I'm eating like a saucy cheese sauce, and I'm eating like a stringy, like kind of like the dried cheese on top of like a French onion soup, sort of like that, but a little bit more dry and stringy than that. But this mixture of cheese on top is also perfect. And lastly, just the Gouda flavor here is just incredible. Good quality cheese being shredded, no doubt, into this cheese sauce and being melted on top. Like, you taste like you're eating a delicious, high quality cheese from like a fresh block being shredded. But enough chit chat, let's try the steak, why don't we? After all, this is a steakhouse, you know, it's not a mac and cheese and cream spinach house, so let's see if the highest reviewed steakhouse in Vegas is all it's cracked up to be. Now, we've eaten a lot of steak on this channel, and New York has tons of great steakhouses, so my expectations are pretty high. Pretty good. Not bad. Beautifully cooked. Looks like medium rare to me. What do you guys think? You know, it's pretty good. But this is definitely solid. Let's break it down and I'll say what I like and then we'll go from there. So as I said earlier, I think it's cooked pretty well. Let me know what you think of the doneness level, but I'm satisfied with that. I like the sear on it, although I don't think the sear is super consistent. Like this is kind of like a bald spot here, but it's okay. I mean, it's got good sear on the edges. And actually, I want to check if there is a sear on the other side. There is, so you know, solid sear on both sides. I do also want to say that the beef has great flavor. The flavor of the beef itself, they have a great meat supplier. But now we're going to come to our gripes. My main gripe though is that I feel that the beef could be better marbled. There isn't much like super fatty flavor. And I know this isn't ribeye, but New York strip should still be a relatively decently marbled cut. So the steak tastes good, but it doesn't really have that like melt in your mouth sensation that you get from a well marbled steak and evenly marbled steak, where that fat really renders throughout the steak, making it juicy and infusing that amazing fat flavor. Because of its lack of marbling, to me this almost tastes a little bit more like top sirloin. It doesn't taste as much like New York strip, which is fine. I mean, you know, I like top sirloin, but you know, I was looking forward to a bit more of a fatty bite. Let's take another bite though. Why don't we saw off another piece of this guy? Let's take one more bite. Yeah, I mean, a solid steak, you know, definitely pretty decent. I'm overall satisfied with this, but I'm just saying, you know, I still prefer some of the elite joints back in New York. It is now time to try the very well-regarded cream spinach, which a lot of people say is to die for, and the thing to get here. It's pretty good. I find it a little too creamy. I know it's cream spinach, but I find it a little bit too creamy and a little bit slimy. There is indeed that fresh Parmesan flavor, and that Parmesan cheese ringing through in this dish is its saving grace. But to be honest, other than that, like I find the rest of this dish, the texture is not really to my liking. I know it's cream spinach, but I find this a little bit too slimy. Like I know cream spinach is supposed to be slimy, but to me it's like a little bit too wet and too mushy and, you know, kind of like baby food. Or if you give this to like a 5-year-old, you'll see why they don't like spinach, because of the texture. So we are gonna take a break from this. We are going to knock the rest of this out for sure. Oh man, it's actually really heavy. It's like a little mini frying pan, and like a heavy duty one. This was my favorite thing by far, so we're gonna knock this out and then we're gonna share some final thoughts in a bit. So 1 second. Alright guys, so we just finished eating at SW Steakhouse and sharing my final thoughts, you know, just somewhere in the Wynn hotel. I felt like SW Steakhouse was a solid steakhouse. It was a decent one, but you know, it was good but not great. I thought that the mac and cheese was very good. That mac and cheese was fantastic and it might have been life-changing. But everything else was kind of only okay. I would say generally it was not really worth the price. The price was extremely high. I know that this is Vegas, but I think even by Vegas standards, it was a little bit unreasonable. I think you can probably find a comparable steak for probably a lower price or at least the same price, and it might even be better. It was good maybe compared to your average steakhouse, but it wasn't great. So I would say SW Steakhouse, I felt like it was kind of overrated and didn't live up to the hype. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you guys think of SW Steakhouse if you've eaten there? What do you think, and what's your favorite steakhouse in Vegas or anywhere in the world? Let me know in the comments, because great minds eat alike. I'm gonna head out now and, you know, explore Vegas a little bit more, so If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. Until next time, I'll see you later.